Deion Sanders sends 9-word message to Almighty after anti-religious groups warning Deion Sanders' name is synonymous with polarizing. Certain people look down upon his outward eccentricity and enigmatic persona. How his character isn't what you'd conventionally attribute to a head coach, a leader of men. The men he's leading, though, are pretty unanimous in their reverence of him. Despite his iconic career and contributions to football, there's a certain misapprehension towards Deion spread sporadically within the masses. The misapprehension often stems from a slightly prejudicial place. Because of the image he projects. Or maybe even the unwavering push of his faith and religious identity. All coaches have their X's and O's in order. They're all football savants who've studied the game and its intricacies in depth. But what separates the top coaches from the SOSO ones is the man management and people skills. How you can separate yourself and, at the same time, create connections. That's Deion Sanders' forte. As an ex-player who reached the zenith of the sport, he's relatable. College kids look up to him and take his every word as gospel. Which, according to some, is an issue. Deion's known to impose his faith in Christianity onto the Colorado program. Since he's so magnetic and looked up to, there's a notion that those raw and malleable kids he's coaching can be influenced by his push of religion. Become devoted subconsciously. Or in order to get into his good books, it's a fair rationale that cannot be evidenced nor thwarted. One thing is clear, though. Deion Sanders isn't going to mend his ways. After all, he's not being too radical. Over on X, prominent NFL reporter Dov Kleiman relayed news of some potential trouble coming Deion's way. An anti-religion group issued a 4-page letter condemning Sanders' actions this past season, accusing him of unconstitutional religious activities for allowing Pastor Dewey Smith to pray with the team after their win against Baylor University, wrote Kleiman. The letter, lodged earlier this week, cited Deion was infusing the football program with Christianity. Deion Sanders has responded to this letter with a subtle X-post of his own. Hold on, everything will be okay. God got this. #Coach Prime, he wrote. As per literature from the Freedom from Religion Foundation, it is religious coercion to conduct a prayer for a team at a public institution and have it led by a spiritual advisor. Which a pastor obviously is. The basis of this rule is to avoid the violation of those players and staff members who don't follow that religion, or any religion at all. The FFRF has had its run-ins with Deion Sanders in the past, too. So, is this time going to be any different? From Deion's perspective, he's using his faith to build a culture for his team. Introduce discipline, something he'd tell you he struggled with as a young adult finding his way through life. No player or staff personnel is forced into it, but it can be influential. The crux of the matter is that whatever Deion does, generally, shall always be met with disdain. This is just one of those gray areas where both sides have grounds for being in the right. Coach Prime isn't everyone's cup of tea. However, scratch the conspicuous surface, and beneath it is a regular guy. A stand-up family man who strives to keep his people close. Whose tryst with fame and his religion gave his players a chance to feed off greatness. Deion Sanders arranges for a fellow legend to Colorado's spring practice. It's worth reiterating that the concern around young, malleable kids being potentially coerced into a religion outside their knowledge is rational. That said, those kids won't mind Deion Sanders coercing the iconic Denzel Washington to drop some gems onto them. Yes, Denzel, who's also a certified minister and devout Christian, addressed the players virtually through a live video call at spring practice. When you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud too, said Denzel in a resounding excerpt of this interaction. But eventually, good things grow out of that mud. I'm going to say this now, if y'all don't send me a ticket to the national championship when you get there, then don't ever go to none of my movies ever again. Those are some very gaudy expectations for a team that just lost their two best players in Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Denzel stayed 10 toes down, though, reiterating, I don't want to know you. Because I know you're going to get there. Now remember that Denzel Washington said it. You are going to the national championship. Instead of being anti-religion, people need to uplift each other. Be pillars of support through each other's journeys rather than pull them down. Appreciating those in the community trying to do good will help propel them to new heights. Which will inadvertently raise the tide for everybody. Things Deion has been credited for doing by a fellow NFL legend. These are values that contextualize this entire